find out. Please welcome on stage, Marcel Oudejans.
Thank you. That was a much better introduction than the one we agreed on, so that's perfect. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Am I facing the right way? Should we try that again? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Great. Thank you so much. Our topic this month is wonder. And I suppose, as a magician, that's the world that I play in. And wonder depends on perspectives and your life experience. Magic. Okay, maybe not now. If I'd done this like 1,000 years ago here, they would have made me chief of this entire area. It would have been great, okay? But ever since, we know the importance of fire. We know how difficult it is to create. We know how human civilization changed when they took this magical thing that would appear out of nowhere. If you're a big Survivor fan, you know how important fire is. But if we're going to work in the world of wonder, we're going to do something that you don't expect and think in ways that you haven't thought of before. So can I borrow you for a moment?
Okay.
No, the right answer is yes, but okay, great.
Sure.
If you could stand on the trapdoor for me, that's perfect. Ta-da! Have you done magic before? I'll teach you how. Don't look so nervous. I'm the one that's supposed to be nervous. Right. We're gonna play a little game. It works with one of these little balls. If you could hold on to that for a moment, I'll show you what to do. Here's one that I prepared earlier. What's going to happen is, I'm going to use mine and you...
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, don't worry about that. I'll share mine with you. Which one do you prefer, the cute one or the one with personality?
Personality?
Excellent choice. Very popular today. Hold your hand out like this, please. Cute for me, personality for you. Squeeze tight and turn your hand this way. Okay, and here's how the magic works. Hold out your left hand like this. Hold it over your right hand. Make it look like magic. Don't overact. Keep it subtle. Okay, good. Did you feel that?
No.
Wrong answer. Did you feel that?
Yes.
Much better. Great, watch. Open your hand.
Oh my God.
Wonder! Thank you, that's perfect. Thanks so much. I did that so that you could see the reaction that I'd hoped for, which worked out perfectly. Did you see the surprise in her face? That's about the best way that we can see that somebody's in a moment of wonder. When I thought about the moments in my life that amazed me, that changed the way I thought about things, it was different moments, and your mileage may vary. But I like to describe a fireworks show. When you look at that, and the first time you've seen a massive fireworks show, and you're like, ooh, ah, you can hear the crowd going, ooh, ah. Those surprised reactions, those moments of wonder, that transports you to a completely different place. If you saw the photo of Dr. Katie Bowman when she saw the first compiled picture of the black hole, you guys have seen that photo? I hope it's trending on social media. If you saw that face where she has her hands like that, that's a moment of wonder. If you've ever seen your mom or your dad hold your child for the first time in their hands, that's a moment of wonder. And as a magician, I have to play in those moments of wonder and turn that into something which, for me as an independent freelance artist and business owner, commercialize that. Try and create sustainable living from it, and ultimately, in my case, try and create an industry around it. For an art form that's thousands of years old. And when we have examples, don't worry, it's a stage he's going through. We have examples of the first known magician that performed in the, Didi, the magician, performed for the pharaoh. We know this because there's hieroglyphics of him drawn in the Great Pyramids of Giza. It's an ancient art form, but I think it started a lot longer than that. I think, sorry, I had to walk up Long Street to get here. One moment. All right, that was super irritating, but there we go. Right. I think the first time that a caveman figured out that he could pretend to put a rock in his hand and then show his caveman friend, and the caveman friend went, what? How did you, what? That's impossible. There's no way you could do that, because up until that moment, nobody had thought about it. Okay, granted, we're all a little bit more advanced than cavemen these days, so making a little rock disappear isn't going to be as amazing now to us because we have a different perspective. Instead, for me, I'm going to get rid of this one. Right. Magic works in those unexpected places because our brains are finely tuned to recognize patterns and then to use those patterns to come up with creative solutions. To try and recognize what we see around that and apply those same rules to try and solve problems that we hadn't seen before. So let me give you an example of impossible made possible. It's about 20 years ago. Rich DeVos of the DeVos family, the co-founder of Amway, had a heart transplant. And a couple of weeks later, he sat down and had dinner with the person that gave their heart to him. Impossible, right? Any guesses how that could be made possible? How would you be able to have dinner with the person that gave you their heart? Good, I'm glad you don't know the answer. Gives me another minute of material. Okay, excellent. The answer is that he sat down with a woman who had a heart and lung transplant. And 20 years ago, when you had a lung transplant, if you needed a lung transplant, it's easier to do a heart and lung transplant at the same time. So in order for her to get her lung, they cut out her heart, gave her a heart and a lung of 1 unit, and gave Rich DeVos the new heart, her heart to him. Now, if you don't know anything about how that kind of surgery is done, you're not an expert in cardiology, then you'd think that's an impossible thing. But once you understand how the principles work, you realize that what we call impossible is quite possible, possibly. Our brains are designed to find these patterns and come up with creative solutions. The downside is that sometimes our brain finds these patterns and uses the rule incorrectly and makes a mistake. So let me demonstrate that to you now. I'm going to use this. Good thing it wasn't this side, because this is a rental. All right. I've got a card over here. I'm going to hold it up like this. The color is black. Let me stand this way so you can see properly. I'm going to count to 3. Everybody yell out the color on the card. 1, 2, 3. Black. Okay, good. It's going to get a bit harder. It's Friday morning, it's early. Here we go. This side is white. 1, 2, 3. White. Okay, now I'm going to hold this up a couple of times, and I want you as quickly and as loudly as possible to yell out the color as I show it to you. Here we go.
Black, white, black, white, black, white, 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 white.
What do cows drink? Water. Right? It's not like you don't know the answer to this. It's just that our brains are not particularly well suited for bombardment of information. And essentially what a magician does, a mentalist does, any magical artist does, is to use our understanding of the world against us. We expect things to work in a certain way. You drop an item, it falls on the ground. You greet somebody, hello, they automatically respond back. These are things that the patterns that we recognize in the world, and we use it to solve problems, which is great. It's perfect. A good example of this happening is a joke. How do you know there's an elephant in your fridge?
Footprints in the butter.
Footprints in the butter, excellent, all right? How do you get the elephant into your fridge? In 3 easy steps. Any guesses? Go ahead, there's no prizes.
Open the door.
Yes, open the door, step 1, put in the elephant, step 2, close the door, step 3, done, all right? So how do you get a giraffe in your fridge?
Take the elephant out.
That's it, 4 steps. You open the door, take the elephant out, put the, all right? So how many elephants can you get in a Mini?
4, 2 in the front, 2 in the back.
That's right. Okay, how do you know that there are 4 elephants in your fridge?
The mini's parked outside.
Ah, close. I was going to say there's tire tracks in the butter, but never mind, okay? I use this ridiculous joke just to show you that the way a format that a joke works is you start with the setup of something that people understand, you create another direction that they're not thinking about, and you show the relationship between these two, and you show how oddly they fit together. So if you watch any stand-up comedy, it works pretty much the same way. A setup that everybody will recognize, some scenario that we've all been in, something unexpected that seems out of the ordinary in that scenario, and when you link those two together, laughter occurs. Neurologically, there is that kind of process happening. We have a pattern in our neural networks for things that we understand. So we have a pattern for a particular scenario, and we recognize that. And this all happens unconsciously. We have another pattern for the different scenario, and the moment that those two scenarios in our neural networks meet, where the concepts collide, a new neural path is formed. Every time you learn something, a new neural path is formed. The more frequently you do that activity, the harder that pathway is solidified in your brain. All right? There's an actual sheath that grows over the neural network so that it actually becomes concrete. which is why it's so difficult to learn to ride a bicycle in the beginning, because you don't have the pathway. But the more frequently you do it, the more it solidifies in your brain. Which is why when something unexpected happens and your brain's going, oh, well, the easy highway of this information is through the 5G neural network instead of the GSM connection that we hadn't formed before. And when something odd happens, now we form a new network, a new connection, a new pattern. And the genius of that kind of intelligence is that when that occurs, hormones get released and inevitably we laugh. It explains why children laugh so frequently, particularly while they're learning, because your brain is going, every time you learn something new, every time we form a new neural network, new neural pathway, we're going to reward you by feeling good and feeling excited about it. Which is why when you watch comedy and you laugh, your brain's rewarding you for figuring out the joke in your head. All right? Which is why if you may find occasionally that you kind of suspect what the punchline is going to be, and sometimes you hear people laugh before the punchline. It's because their brains made the connection before yours is made. So it makes a very good case for when you're doing education to make sure that people are laughing while they're learning, because it's an indicator that something is occurring on the neural network. If education is boring, then there's no reward system happening, there's no dopamine and serotonin being released, then you're not actually forming the new neural pathways. And in wonder, we have that opportunity to experience that moment of a new concept or a new idea being formed. So even something that we may think to be impossible, it inspires us to try and find a way to make that particular thing possible. As magicians, these are the tools that we use on a day-to-day basis. Creating that moment of wonder is half the job. Thank you for introducing me as the founder of the Cape Town Magic Club. For years and years, I wanted to find a space where I could create an environment where my magician colleagues and I could get together and create a wonderful show in a small, intimate environment. It took me 6 years to find a venue. It ended up being the basement of the Cape Town Club on Queen Victoria Street, a beautiful Sir Herbert Baker designed building that the entrance was through a secret doorway through a bookcase. Yeah. Regretfully, it's not there anymore. Nothing to do with us. The club, as gentlemen's and business clubs goes these days, went bankrupt after 200 years. Right? That's how these things work these days. I suppose who needs to network at a gentleman's, well, I'd say gentleman's club, but like an exclusive members only club when you have, I don't know, WhatsApp. And you can meet anywhere. I found this environment was a dingy basement that had a bar, but it wasn't really being used. I said, look, I'd like to bring in an audience. We're going to put in a pop-up removable theater, and I'm going to bring the best magicians that I can to create that environment. And they said, sounds good to us. People are going to drink and buy food. We're happy. They weren't using the space. And so one of the most watched videos that we had that was extremely effective at drawing in people was 30 seconds, and it showed no magic at all, because all it showed you was a camera doing a walkthrough from the entrance of the building with beautiful wooden doors. You walk in, marble floors, big arches, wood panels, walk around, you see the bookcase, and you see this beautifully burlesque dressed lady, door lady, open the bookcase, and you go inside and there's a bar with smoke and swing music. And then when the show started, we'd ring a gong and take everybody into a small theater with velvet and lights and all that sort of stuff with music. It was wonderful. It created this incredible moment where people were excited about the magic, which meant that when the magic started, we had everybody at the right state of excitement and interest. I'll mention this to you as people that are working in the creative industry, and my guess is that many of you are freelancers, so you'd like to know how to commercialize your art form. So let me tell you what I learned about that particular wonder experience. We ran the show there for a season, we ran the show for a second season, and then they started going bankrupt. So we tried to find a different venue. Fortunately, David Donde of Truth Coffee invited us to go play in the back coffee area of Truth Coffee on Batencon Street, which is now their secret, no longer secret, gin bar, all right? Amazing. Change of theme, worked great. People loved it. They loved the coffee. They loved the steampunk vibe. Everything was set up beautifully for it. And then I got a phone call. We moved back to the Cape Town Club, into the basement, move everything along, put everything up, restart. Great. Wonderful. Then they went proper bankrupt. And then we had to move. So we moved into the Taj. Now the Taj is the old South African Reserve Bank. And below the Taj, in their conference area, is the actual bank vault. So we took everybody down into the bank vault, and we did a magic show inside of a bank vault. And then no, the support wasn't working so well. We decided, okay, we'll try somewhere else. So we decided, I know, we'll go where the tourists are. We'll go to the waterfront. Doesn't work. Because at the waterfront, we had this most central location, the conference room, which is the Victorian Alfred Conference Room, which is opposite Kauai, out there near the big circle. We weren't allowed to advertise. We weren't allowed to promote the show anywhere in the venue. Only before the show could we draw people in. Didn't work so well. We thought, no, we'll leave it. Last year, we got an invitation from Artscape. We're a real theatre now. We're going to Artscape. Never mind this pop-up, put your own lights up thing. We're going to go into Artscape. Great. They're doing refurbs. 4 months later, we get the space. It's a nice floored area. It's their champagne bar area. Refurb looks great. We were taking reviews from every show. And as we opened in Artscape, something interesting happened. The quality of the reviews dropped slightly. Yes, people were still impressed by the magic, but there was a portion of the wonder of the experience that had been lost by being in Artscape. Let's compare the experience of just seeing a 30-second video, no magic, and wanting to walk through into a theatre that's behind a secret bookcase, compared to walking into Artscape on a Monday evening. Our show's always on Mondays, Monday Night Magic, Monday nights. We go into Artscape, and everyone knows where Artscape is, and you walk into this vast, empty Artscape theatre building, and you walk around. Okay, great, you get to the champagne bar, very nice, order a drink, and then you go into this theatre, which, as much as we could set it up as a pop-up theatre with banners and our own pop-up stage and lights, whatever, it's a conference room in the Artscape. It's a corner on the Artscape. I realized what had happened. When you walked through this amazing building at the Cape Town Club and through a secret bookcase and heard music and a smoke machine and had cocktails before you watched a show, by the time they opened the doors and the lights switched on and we introduced the show with the show music, people had already been transported away to an entirely different place. They had removed themselves from their ordinary way of thinking and were ready in anticipation for wonder and magic and laughter and delight. That doesn't happen at Artscape. Because what happened at Artscape is they would try and find parking outside of Artscape on Monday nights, which isn't too bad, but then you've got everybody knocking on your windows asking for money. So it's a whole different vibe. You're walking into this vast building. There was no music or any smoke machines in Artscape because we wouldn't be able to do that. But what really happened is that people's moment of wonder only started when the first trick had been performed. So that entire 45 minutes that you were there in the environment, it didn't transport you anywhere. It didn't take you anywhere else. And so people became way more critical about the magic and the quality of the magic itself, which wasn't bad. It just didn't help us. There was no contributing factor from putting it into that space. So, where's the Cape Town Magic Club right now? In my garage. Okay, I'm waiting. It took me 6 years to find the first venue. I might have to wait another 6 years to find the next perfect venue for 40 to 50 people where you can transport people away before they get into the theatre. Because you've got to get people in the right frame of mind before you do something that's magical. Right, I have a bunch of toys and props here that I wanted to share with you, but we'll get to those in a moment. The technique of learning magic is like any particular hobby or sport that you may play. In the beginning, you get really excited because I can amaze and impress my friends. And for those of you, and I'm going to say mostly the men, because that's just typical one of the things, when you got a magic kit as a kid for your Christmas, yeah, some of you may have got that, all right? And it's one of those male-dominated fields. Just out of, like, to be very clear about it, there are no female professional magicians in Africa. There's not one. There's just not one. There are young female magicians that are training at the College of Magic, which you may have heard of, but that's an educational facility, much like, let's call it Helen O'Grady's drama school. Nobody's expecting you to leave high school drama school and become a professional actor. All right? You may choose to go somewhere, but in the magic field, it doesn't seem like any of the girls, young women that are learning there want to go and turn it into a profession. They become doctors and company directors and advertisers and all those wonderful things, but not magicians. In the entire Africa, I've counted 50 professional magicians. 1 in Kenya that we managed, 2 in Ghana, 3 in Ghana, okay? It updated recently. Let's call it 40 in South Africa, of which 35 live in Cape Town. So when I set up my show, it's pretty cool because I've got all the magicians locally. I don't have to fly them in, right? But it does tell you that we as Cape Townians see more magic in our city than anywhere else in Africa, which is a great thing for me because I get to go and travel to those places and take my show. The Cape Town Magic Club evolved into Magic Africa Productions. We now help magicians produce their shows internationally, whether it is theatre shows, well, internationally, Africa internationally, continentally. Whether it's theatre shows, we want to support them setting up their theatre production that we mentioned. You know, these things, spend years learning how to do a magic trick, but nobody teaches us how to make a poster, all right? And it turns out that if you want to make money from magic, you better have a damn fine poster because no one's going to come to see your show otherwise, right? Or your social media, or your Instagram, or your, like all of these other tools that we have to get really good at before we get to do the thing that we're really passionate about. I sometimes feel that most times my job is to actually just run emails and calendars rather than get to do the thing that I'm most passionate about. The irony is I get paid to be on the stage to play with my toys, a ridiculous amount of money, worthwhile but ridiculous, compared to sitting every day on my computer. I'm busy redesigning the website in WordPress, coding, and it's taken 3 weeks to do, right? Did I get paid for any of that? No, all right? But that's the thing I need to make in order to do the thing that I'm passionate about. So as I travel in Africa, last year I did 6 African countries. It was a blast. Now you might think magic, if you're familiar with it in a Western culture, or even in Cape Town, we're a bit more familiar with it, you go, yeah, people love it. Everybody loves it. But what about people that haven't seen magic before? Don't they freak out about it? Yeah, to some degree. Okay, to some degree. The best example was I was driving through Johannesburg. On the way to Sun City, I decided to stop at a Steers. And actually, let me demonstrate to you. This is the cool thing about magic. I can show you. I don't have to just tell you. Did you used to have a wallet on you? Yeah? This is not your wallet. This is very definitely my wallet. It's fireproofed. Do you have a banknote on you that I can borrow for a moment? I'd use my own money, but you'll think it's trick money.
I actually got $1. That's all I've got.
Ironically enough, for the purposes of this demonstration, that might not, actually that might work. What's the point of being a magician if you can't go, yes, we'll just use that. Okay, right. So I order a burger. She comes back to the counter, I offer to pay, as one does traditionally. And I take out a banknote, and I take out a 10 Rand. Now, that's obviously not enough. Before I do this, I just want to paint the scene. We're in Johannesburg, which is like a one-horse town, the horse died, all right? The Steers is inside the spa. There is no one around me. It's literally just the lady behind the counter who's now taking my money. And I take a 10 Rand in my pocket and I do this. Now, when you do this, you get people's attention. Let me tell you that. So she's watching. And I take the 10 Rand. And I do that. Wow, look at that. That's 5 Rands worth of magic for you. In her case, I turned a 10 into 100. I realized about a second after I did that what had just happened in her mind. Because it's midday. She's not expecting a magic trick. I didn't say I'm a magician. I wasn't dressed like this. I was casual driving clothes. And I did this. And she's like, now I want to say that that emotion is wonder, but it might also have been complete disbelief, shock, and upsetness, because she didn't know what to do. And I realized that as I gave her the money, there's no way that she's going to believe that. She was checking it. And there was another thing that was a problem for her in that scenario. There was absolutely no one to corroborate with her what had just happened. Could you imagine about 20 minutes later after I've left, her trying to describe to her colleagues at the Steers what just happened? And them going, no, we don't believe you. All right? Like, how would you even describe that? Okay? So we think that that's how people experience, who've never experienced magic might react negatively. You know, generations ago, woohoo! You looked impressed but not happy, I'll tell you that, right? Now we can imagine that when somebody learns how to use a magic trick or use our logical way of thinking against us, you could influence people. I mean, that's been done for generation after generation with things like, well, I'll be honest about it. Witch doctors, sangomas, you name it. All right? Any form of con artistry. A magician's different. A magician tells you he's going to fool you and then does it, and that's what you expected. We create a moment of wonder. Something that's unexpected. Something... Look, the rand's going up. Took a magician, didn't it? All right? Thank you. Don't spend it all at once. All right? So when I travel in Africa, I go and find these audiences, and what's really nice to see is that the type of clients that I work for, big multinational companies, at least those audiences are familiar with magic. Not only are they familiar with magic, but here's the thing I didn't expect. They go, do you know Chris Angel? What? Do you know Dynamo? What? How would they know anything about magic? DSTV, folks. They get it. They watch magic there. They just don't have the magicians. In fact, what they're willing to do is go and watch things like America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent, call us as a production company and say, we'd like to book that person from England. And I'm going, we've got phenomenal talents and magic talents here in South Africa. Let's bring them up. In fact, there's no competition there. So our vision for Magic Africa Productions is to take the art form that in South Africa is world class and show the world that we have got those magicians and inspire them to go and travel into Africa and go and inspire young people there to get into the profession. Because magic teaches us so much. Just from a scientific point of view, a lot of research has been done on the psychology and then on neurology, using magic and illusion as a technique to find out how people perceive the world and see the world. Okay, all fine and well. It's a useful, practical art form that in my case I use to communicate with. So we've used magicians for weddings, you may have seen that, corporate events, gala dinners, but we also do product launches where we integrate the product into the performance. We're at a point now if a company said we'd like to make a car appear on stage, we can go, yes. Given enough time and budget, we can do anything. Really? What it requires for me is to phone up the guy who's got the illusions, spend the money on buying the plans from him, making it, putting the car in, boom, we can make a car appear. You as the audience, they would have no idea how it's done. The client's going to go, well, how impressive is that? Right? And when you create a moment of wonder, when you create a moment that is extraordinary, when you create a moment that people go, wow, they remember it. So in my case, I've used my magic to talk about customer service. Oh, and wonder today. Customer service is one of my topics, the wow factor in customer service. How do you create that moment where people go, wow, that was amazing, and want to come and tell their friends? And the other one is, interesting, ethics. Yeah, ethics learnings from a professional trickster. I literally am going to lie to you in the show. And you're going to like it. And you're going to learn about ethics. So what a better way to learn about ethics is somebody who lies for a living, right? And we've used that very successfully because we take Dan Ariely's research into how people lie and cheat. And I use that learning to show people that if you remind your staff and your colleagues about ethics regularly, people behave more ethically. So I could go and speak to a group of, like a Sanlam or Santam, and go and speak to them and tell them about all the boring stuff about ethics. Or I could just remind them that every time that they think about ethics, they improve. So I could find fun ways, using magic and illusion, to keep on hitting the point about why we need to behave ethically. So that hopefully in 6 months' time, there's still that spark, that neural pathway that activates every time an ethical situation comes up. So I want to finish off, and then we'll do some questions, and I hope you've got some interesting ones because I've run out of things. But I want to talk about how important that moment of wonder is and what it creates in us. So what I'm going to ask is, I'm going to ask you, what's your name?
Trudy.
Julie?
Trudy.
Trudy. Trudy, have we met before?
No.
You have no idea it's me. Good. Okay, Trudy, could you come up for a moment? Give her a round of applause. Hi, Trudy.
Hi.
Welcome. Excellent. Are you from here?
Yes.
I like what you've done with this place. Yo, it must have cost you a fortune. Trudy, I believe it's your birthday this year, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Hold on to that. Okay. So, given that we're all seated in ways that can't move, I'm going to come to you. Here's one for you. Here's one for you. Here's like if you go ahead, open up the paper bags. Okay, you're busy tweeting, which is important. We'll do that. Open up the bag, look inside, make sure there's no trapdoors, no mirrors, no secret compartments, no guptas. Could be. We don't know where they are. Could be inside there. All right. And it might smell like tuna, but that's about it. Okay. All right. And then you're going to put your bag on the table like this. Great. And you've had a look at these, Trudy?
Yes,
excellent. And can you see what it says stamped into the back there?
Stainless steel.
Stainless steel. Excellent. And now I believe that you're famous, right? Well, you are now. What are we going to do? I'm sorry, did anybody want? It's Cokie Light. I'll offer you a line later, but that's okay. Right, hold on to that for a moment. And I'd like you to sign your name on there as big as you can, okay? What's going to happen is I'm going to drop a piece of cutlery into every person's bag, like this. Just put a little bit closer, please. We'll drop it inside there. And what I'd like you to do is I'm going to fold the top like this, and I want you to squeeze it with both hands like that so that nothing can get in or out. Okay, so we'll do one there, and we'll drop that in there. It's important that you hold it because later on you're going to need to verify that nothing went in or out. There we go. I'll do one for you. You can hold that for me, thank you. And thank you, sir, we'll do one for you. Okay. Thanks, not a souvenir. My budget's been cut, so. We're going to create a moment of magic, a moment of wonder. You're going to be doing it, but when we create a moment of wonder, when we create a moment of wow, it's so extraordinary that we need to tell other people about it. And if you're looking from a marketing perspective, if you create a moment of wow, of wonder, people feel compelled to tell other people. And it doesn't require a lot of energy, it doesn't require a lot of work to do that telling on, that viral movement when you've created a great moment of wonder right from the start. So we're going to do it together. It works like this. I'm going to shake the fork like this. I'd like you to blow on it. Excellent. You're a natural, like everybody here. All right? You're going to do it again, but this time I'd like you to blow with energy,
Okay.
with passion, and with sincerity.
Okay.
Or just fake it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Right, here we go. There we go. Ah, see? Very good. That's awesome.
I should have brushed my teeth.
No, actually, it helps to explain why I had you write your name on there. Number one is now you know it's the exact same fork from start to finish. Number two, I haven't actually asked the AAA school if I can use their cutlery, so it's all Trudy's fault now. Hold on to that for a moment. Give your bags a shake. No, we've got issues there. Bing! Yours is ready. You can open up your bag, look inside, nothing went in or out. I didn't have to touch anything. Yeah. Hold it up so they can see at the back. Just like that, okay? It spreads. We're going to go a little bit more. I'd like you to hold your finger up like this. That's an excellent first choice. Thank you. Better than I got in the traffic this morning. You're going to rub the fork. You're going to rub the fork with that finger. As you do, you'll feel it get softer and softer and softer and softer. You will feel this despite your disbelief by rubbing gently where it says stainless steel with that finger. Just gently rub.
Like
Yeah,
this.
that's it. Keep rubbing. There we go. Keep go. Oh, perfect. You got raw talent. You could work for Carol Boys. Actually, that could work for all the boys. Never mind. Hold on to that for a moment. Give your bag a shake there. Yours a shake. You're good. We'll come back to you, sir. You got issues over here, right? Ding! I think yours is ready. You can take it out. Now remember, when we create that moment of wow, people want to spread it. As if by magic, it just repeats over and over. So that one's a little bit bent on that side now, just like that. Okay? We're going to do a little bit more like this. Dee, dee, dee. It's a forklift. Dee, dee, dee. They don't make them like they used to, eh? Just like that. Okay, and you can feel it. Solid stainless steel. Doesn't work with a tinfoil fork. I've tried. All right, give your bag a shake over here. Give yours a shake. Sure. We'll come back to you. Open up your bag. Hold it up so that people can see at the back. I didn't touch it. Nothing went in or out. And it's just bent like that. Okay. Is it magic? You decide, all right? And we'll do a little bit more. Hold your hand out like this, please. I'm going to straighten this out so you can feel this happening inside of your hand. And just to verify, that's still your name over there, right? Good. Watch. Close your hand. Hold it upright like this. You know what this does? Huh? Fork all. I mean, it's an interesting point, right? Because when you go and watch illusion shows, it's a lot of time just... And like, does that add anything to the magic? No, but it adds to the drama and the theater of the thing. All I do need to do is this. And you can feel that happening? Mm-hmm. What's happening?
I can just feel it moving a little bit of mine.
Yeah, open your hand. Just like that. It's a good thing that you wrote your name on it so that they can understand who did this. All right, twist it right through the center, and let's try this. Could you try and untwist this, please? Both hands. No pressure, but everyone's watching. Give your bag a shake here. Not yet. Give your bag a shake. I think yours is ready. Take it out. Show everybody what's happened. And it's twisted through the neck, right? Yeah. Try and untwist it. Not happening? Give your bag a shake, sir. Okay, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I chose you. Yeah, this. Okay. So sometimes, for all the drama that you put into it, the magic doesn't spread. The cool thing is when you've created that moment of wonder, that moment of wow, if somebody's heard about it, they're keen about it, but they just want that little bit of proof. So we'll do it this way. Please hold your hand like this, sir. Your first name is?
Julian.
Correct answer. All right. Squeeze tight. Thank you, Julian. Okay. Now imagine that as you're holding the fork, the heat of your hand goes into the metal. And we know from science that when metal gets warm, the molecules vibrate and it becomes a little bit more pliable, a little bit easier to move, just like that. Open your hand. Oh, okay, well, don't let security see on the way out, Julian. That's for you. All right, have we still got that fork around here somewhere? It's over here. Oh, it's being Instagrammed. Oh, well, don't worry. We'll add more evidence to this in a moment, all right? We'll pull up the sleeves, make it a little bit more visual. Just like that. This is really cool. How many vegan donuts do you want? Hold your hands out like this, please, like my previous day job. Fantastic. We'll add one last bend. That goes over there. And you can keep that as a memento, a little souvenir from the day. Let's give Trudy a round of applause. Thank you so much. Take a seat. Okay, so to finish off my presentation, and we'll do a bit of a Q&A. Don't think that you're required to learn magic tricks to create that moment of wonder. Frankly, I don't need the competition. No, there are parts of your art form, of your passion, of your work, where if you're inspired by something that looks impossible, to go and pursue it. Because when you create something that evokes wonder and a wow reaction in the people that experience it, they will talk about it. So they'll be inspired to spread it further and further and further. And just because something that's wondrous and amazing to other people is no longer wondrous and amazing to you doesn't make it a miraculous and wondrous thing. We're so used to these. If you think about what it does, just a very relevant, immediate moment of magic that happened for me last night. I went to take in my actual phone for warranty repair, and they said it's going to take 5 to 7 days. Have you tried to live without your phone for 5 or 7 days? I ran over to Game and I bought a Nokia. Yes, they still have Nokias, okay? Android phone. Within an hour of typing in my Gmail password, all my contacts, my apps, my calendar, everything's on here. Can you remember like 5 years ago when the best thing you could do was copy your SIM card and hope that your contacts are there? All right? Now I can move everything in an hour. Next year it'll be 10 minutes. 5 years' time, you won't even have to put the phone on because it'll be permanently bonded to you somewhere, okay? But this miraculous device should be constantly evoking wonder in us and what it allows us to do. But because we're so used to it, because we see it so regularly, we forget how wondrous it is. Don't allow your work to become so regular that you miss the wonder in it. Because it's when you find those moments of wonder, those things that make other people go, wow, that's amazing. That's when you get to create a story that people want to spread. And that's when your ideas can go further and further. And hopefully you get the opportunity, like I have, to be able to travel through Africa and travel the world doing what you absolutely love. Thanks. That's the formal part.